Hello, and welcome to the 21st meeting of the Top Shelf Society. We are so glad that you are here today. I'm Kristin from Perks of a Bookflower, and today we are discussing our February book, which was The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and the beautiful cover, as Angela just showed us.
Oh my God.
It is so pretty. We're so glad that you're here. Go ahead and say hi to us in the comments just to let us know. And we will start off by doing some member introductions, but I do just want to say we are missing Laura today. She's had some other commitments, so she can't join us, but she is with us in spirit. So anyways, Sara, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sara. I'm from Sara's Reading Nook, and I read with my cat. She's right here, I think. Special. Hello.
She threw
No,
up
no.
earlier.
Yeah, but the furball event is over, and she's feeling good.
Good.
She's shy.
Angela?
Okay, I'm Angela from angelarosereads. I'm reading a lot, but I haven't been filming lately. I'm just waiting to get that like burst of inspiration to film again, and then I'll be back on the horse. But right now, I'm kind of just reading everything. I'm just so in the reading mood for everything.
My name's Stephanie. My channel is Stephanie's Bookverse, and I read mainly fantasy, but I do branch out into other things, sci-fi. I've been liking dark academia lately, so yeah.
Nice. We were just talking before we got started about how close we are to almost 2 years of the Top Shelf Society, and that's coming up this May. So just a little thank you to everyone who joins us each month and reads the books with us. We love to have your company with us. And Becca's here. Hi, Becca. Good morning to you. So we usually like to start off our live shows with like a brief synopsis of the book. Does anyone want to give us a go? How would you summarize or synopsify this book?
I told you I've been off the horse for a while. I don't know how to give summaries of books anymore. I just usually read it.
Yeah. Okay, well, basically, I have a little bit of a difficulty defining the genre of this book because part of me wants to say, is it like historical fiction? Is it historical romance? Is it magical realism? Is it like slightly fantasy? Like, I'm not really sure. But basically, it follows the story of our main character, Hector, and maybe it's arguable if he's the main character or not, but they're kind of two, Hector and Antonina. And we follow Hector's like obsessive pursuit over this one girl, Valeria, and then how that kind of changes. And it's a story of love and rejection and society's influence on people. I don't know if you guys would add anything else to it. Beatles.
There's telekinesis.
Yeah.
Telekinesis, yeah. All right, well, before we go into anything else, we've actually read another book by Silvia Moreno Garcia in this book club, and that was Mexican Gothic. Yep, Sara's got us all set up.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I was wondering what you guys thought about this book after having read Mexican Gothic.
This is not like Mexican Gothic. The Beautiful Ones, in my opinion, like it's not like Mexican Gothic, just because Mexican Gothic is more of like a horror, paranormal, like with some love story within it, and it's just this one, like you said, this one is more like maybe like historical fiction and like telekinesis and soap opera, I would say. Like this is like a very this is very similar to like the telenovelas that my grandfather would watch. So I feel like I don't know, but like to me it feels like it was kind of like that sort of historical fiction soap opera type. And I love that about this book. It's so cool.
Yeah, I feel
Awesome.
like I saw. Sorry. I feel like I saw on Goodreads whenever I was looking at the book that there was a note from Silvia Moreno Garcia saying something about like, if you read Mexican Gothic, like please understand that I write different genres of books.
Totally.
And this book is a completely different genre, so you're not going to be getting the same thing. And I thought it was interesting. She felt the need to like clarify that.
Yeah, and I think that it is because it's like so different from it. I do think there's similar like mechanisms in it. Like for instance, like to me, like there was like a part 1 and 2 of this book, and it felt like that was the case in Mexican Gothic. Like it felt like Mexican Gothic was, you started out as like one book and then it just sort of like picked up and became like another sort of realm. And I feel like this one too, the different parts for me, they were not as like distinct as in Mexican Gothic, but I do feel like there were two different like vibes like reading the book. In the beginning it was kind of different, and in the end it was slightly like more different. So I feel like she does that as well. But she also writes different genres. I haven't read Gods of Jade and Shadow yet, but Untamed Shore is like a mystery thriller as well. And this one is not like Mexican Gothic either. Yeah.
Yeah, Silvia Moreno Garcia had a really good thread on Twitter talking about how she kind of gets like sometimes more negative ratings for her books, and she talked about how like often BIPOC writers don't conform to specific genres. Like it's not all fantasy, it's not all realism, and like it having magical realism might not necessarily be considered magical realism to them. It's just like part of their culture and society, so it is more realism. And so often readers pick up their books expecting like one of those genres, and when it blends multiple, sometimes it's not to their expectations, and so they might not enjoy it. So I thought that was a really good like Twitter conversation thread that she had, because it was something that made me think about my expectations going into a book too. So that was really enlightening.
It's interesting you bring that up, because we were talking with the author of The Divine Inheritance of Orquídea Divina.
No spoilers, I haven't read it yet, but go for it.
Okay, well, no spoilers. Yeah. But I remember the author saying to us something about how like what some people considered to be elements of magical realism kind of weren't to their culture. And when we were talking with Angeline Booley, the same thing with like the people. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of Silvia Moreno Garcia's books, I did want to ask if you guys had seen that she has a new book coming out. In 2022, it's called The Daughter of Dr Moreau, and it's kind of like a retelling. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think it's based off the island of Dr Moreau, something. It seems really interesting.
Trying to look it up.
I know, I'm looking it up too.
I'm trying I'm so technologically savvy, but I'm trying to pull up a screenshot for you guys to look at. But it looks really cool. Basically, it has like jungle vibes and other things.
Okay, I see it. Yeah. How do people already rate it if they haven't read it yet?
Maybe they got arcs.
They probably got arcs,
But sometimes they don't. They just rate it just because they're excited or something, or because they don't like the author.
Do that.
They give it a low rating, and I'm like,
rude. Okay, so what is this book called again?
The Daughter of Dr Moreau. And basically, it's a reimagining of the book, The Island of Dr Moreau, and it's set in the backdrop of 18th century Mexico. And it looks like there is kind of this doctor and then his like assistant, and it has to do with secrets and passion in the jungle. So I think it sounds great. And it comes out in July, so I think it would be a good book to pick up in the summer. So I thought I'd shout it out for anyone who wants to read the next book by her. Okay, and moving on, how did you guys read this book? Was it audiobook or physical or what?
Both. I did
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah, I did both too. Now I think about it. I put it on when I was like in the kitchen and stuff.
Yeah.
I loved the narrator's audio. I loved her voice. Thought it was peaceful.
Yeah, I like the narrator as well. I like the voice quite a bit.
And I think that this one was really easy to follow, like in audiobook format, compared to the one that we read last month, which I would have struggled with a lot.
Yeah. But this one was told in third person, wasn't it?
Oh, Sarah, you figured out how to do that. Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, this is delayed. But this is the next book we were talking about. Yeah, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. It looks so. Look at those pinks in the cover.
It looks so beautiful.
I know.
I think she has the best covers ever.
Yeah,
She has great
Literally.
truly.
Literally, she does. I don't know who's on her team, but they're good.
I know.
And I posted on my story. This is just like a tiny little cute nod, but like I don't know if it's accurate or not, if they did it on purpose. But this is the hair comb that Rose has in Titanic. Almost exactly the same. There's a little bit difference in the coloring, but I know this was popular back then and it fits Nina's character. But I was just like, oh,
That's crazy.
You know, I got like when I was reading it, like I literally got some like Titanic vibes. I don't know if you guys did, but I totally did.
Oh, I got Great
Did.
Gatsby vibes too.
I got
Like
Gatsby.
strongly.
Yeah, the like
That's so-
longing for Valeria was very like
I thought she
Gatsby
was
green
Daisy
line.
for sure.
Yeah.
Not- she had like, although she was probably worse than Daisy.
Oh no.
Valerie
Daisy's
was-
pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And also like something really cool about this, it's not in the cover, but like in the book, if you look at like the audiobook, there is a chapter that isn't mentioned in the audiobook. Did you see that? It's
Yeah.
chapter 21. I was like, what
It's
is
not
going
in the
on?
audiobook. I had to read it physically.
What?
And then I was reading it, and one of the characters, so they say, like, what will you name Madalena's, I think, daughter? And she was like, I was thinking Viridiana. And actually, in Untamed Short, that's the main character's name. This was written after. So there's, like, little nods and Easter eggs in her books. That's so cool.
Wait, I feel duped. Where is my chapter? I only listened
Chapter
to the audio.
21, nothing happened.
Oh.
But you don't miss out on the
Yeah,
book if
she
you
like
don't
climbs up on a rock
hear
or
it.
something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
It's not a big deal.
it's not a big deal. So maybe they were just like whatever. But like it's totally not in the audiobook.
Interesting. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a
You
tradition.
picked up that? That's so cool.
Oh, what?
Oh, I wasn't sure if anybody would notice. Like you wouldn't notice unless you like were literally like reading both of them together and like looking at it being like, what the heck happened in chapter 21?
I know, I did that too. I was like,
Like what?
That's funny. Well, we have a weird tradition in this book club where we have to compare the book to food. It's just a thing we do. We're weird like that. So, what do you think today for this? What tasty morsel?
I mean, I keep going to like pedophores and stuff for like tea because this is all kind of like
I know, I was
high
gonna say
Yeah.
some fancy little French pastry.
Some
yeah.
like dainty cafe shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with like a beetle on top for good measure.
Pinned on top.
Oh,
Is
my
it edible?
goodness.
Who knows?
Beetles?
It's priceless. A priceless beetle.
Oh.
Okay.
I love that bit of weirdness in here. Like, I love that.
Me too. All
Well,
right.
can I say something about that while you just mentioned it? Because that goes into what I was saying. I'm sure this was super obvious, but I'm really bad. I'm sorry, you're an English teacher, but I'm really bad at like picking up on like themes and metaphors and stuff. But the beetle situation kept applying to Nina and like how people viewed her, because on page 183, it says like she held the insect up to the light, and when she did it, it seemed to change color depending on the angle, now growing brighter or duller. And to me, that was kind of like how, depending on how like Hector keeps like looking at her, he keeps changing how he feels about her. Because at first I don't want to say anything that's spoilers. Basically, like, depending on how you look at her, she can either be like perceived differently, right? Like how Hector kept like looking at her differently. And then on page 217, when I know it's pronounced like fancy, but I don't remember how they say it. Valerie? Is it
Valerie?
It's like Valerie.
Okay, there you go. How Sara said it.
Valerie.
When she's looking at it, it said she rounded his desk and took a hold of another black box with a beetle inside. This time the sight of it did not upset her. It was but a lifeless thing, devoid of any power. And I think that like kind of like goes too, because at first she was upset about it, and then when she felt like she was more in control, she didn't care about it anymore. And I don't know, I just kind of felt like those were kind of small implications too of like how they're viewing Nina. I thought that was interesting because like it matched anyway. I don't know if it was intentional, but it did match their perspectives of Nina.
Yeah, no, Angela, I think that's really astute. And in fact, it kind of goes with one of the questions that we were going to talk about. So I'm just going to bring it up now, which is, and so I guess we're moving into spoiler land for those of us who are watching. If you don't want to be spoilered, we will see you later. Come back and watch after you've read the book. But a big part of this book is the fact that it kind of takes the whole thing of love at first sight and spins it on its head. In this story, it's a story of people not falling in love at first sight, I would say. Yeah. And what did you guys think about how that was done in this book? How you saw it? Did you like it? Find it interesting? What do you think? Do you believe in love at first sight, or do you think it's realistic?
I think attraction at first sight that can quickly turn to love, but like I don't know if like love at first sight. But I definitely think you can like have instant, chemistry with someone.
Do you remember right whenever Hector sees Antonina for the first time, how he describes her?
I don't remember.
I vividly remember him thinking or being described something as like her having like ugly eyes or like dull eyes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And just like not pleasant to look at all. Like, because I was thinking, gosh, they always talk about how these women are ugly. Like, why are we always talking about how ugly women are? And then, that changes, I guess. Like, he's not attracted to Nina at all at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I just think that's interesting because I feel like people play up the whole love at first sight thing all the time. Like, it's just very common. And I guess I thought it was really refreshing it felt like more authentic too, I guess. But I don't know if you guys would agree.
I feel like I maybe just don't read the same books, but I don't feel like I read that many books where love at first sight is a thing. So I guess I never even thought about it in this book. It just seemed more natural that the relationship would develop over time instead of being a love at first sight relationship.
Yeah. That makes sense. But then it was like different because with Valerie, I feel like it was like immediate, like lust, attraction, whatever at first sight. And that just completely got turned on its head with Antonina. But then the relationship that ends up lasting is the one that kind of came about in this untraditional way. So
yeah, they reminded me of like the summer part of like Noah and Allie in The Notebook, like Hector and Valerie. Like, although they weren't really good for each other, like it almost reminded me of if it was the early part of The Notebook, and it was, instead of like Noah and Allie, it was like Daisy and Gatsby, kind of, if that makes any sense. Like, that's the vibes that I got from Hector and Valerie's time together, and then clearly she didn't actually feel the same way. So she's the worst. I hate her so much. Like,
not a good person.
There wasn't any redeeming quality other than that she was beautiful. Like, that was it. There was not a single redeeming quality.
So I think this is interesting with Valerie. Okay, let's talk about Valerie for a minute.
Yeah.
Do you think that Valerie is guilty? Like, she's completely 100% at fault for her actions? Or do you think that she's like a product of society?
I mean, being a product of society does not dissolve you of being responsible for your actions. I feel, I mean, she literally was going to kill a dude. So.
Yeah.
It was wild at the end.
With vengeance. Like, she was going to kill with like vengeance. She's like, I want to see blood.
And I'm going to sit by his grave that no one ever visits and be happy that he's under there. I was like,
yeah, she's crazy.
She's like, I want to be there and to see it. And oh my God, she was crazy.
Well, okay, so we clearly, for the most part, don't like Valerie. But do you feel bad for her?
I would feel bad for her if she didn't admit that she didn't actually love Hector. She just loved like his love of her. You know what I mean? Like, if it was like a Noah and Allie situation where, I hope people have seen The Notebook. I know I'm just throwing out these references, but like, if it was a situation where it was a family-induced thing and she had no other choice, but she truly did love him and was trying to like figure out a way to make it work. So like, I thought that was what was going to happen. I thought it was going to be like a love triangle and she might actually like leave for him. I thought that she was going to end up with Hector. Like, I never could tell which way it was going to go. But then when she admitted that like, no, she didn't actually care about him, she just liked that he loved her, I was like, okay, no, now I don't feel guilty for you because now you're just using people and you don't actually care. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Becca adds that Valerie was all about possession and vengeance. That's true. And I'm not saying that Valerie wasn't bad. Of course she was. She was horrible. But it just makes me think of Daisy Buchanan as well, because when we talk about Daisy, right, a common argument people make for her is that she had to act that way because of society's pressures and her position in society. No, okay.
I don't think she needed to run someone over with a car, blame another person, get them killed. I mean, she literally has 2 people's death, 3, because then the guy killed himself. So, I mean, 3 people died because of her. Being in society doesn't do that.
Okay.
I actually, okay. Valerie is like, for me, like a character I love to hate a little bit because she was just so dramatic about like everything, literally. And like up until the end, like, oh my gosh, I just have like so many like little notes about like Valerie out for blood, like Valerie, like like Valerie shows up at the duel, like Valerie, like, oh my gosh, I just loved like how like she was just so like passionate about it and just so like, he is mine, he will never be yours. And I was just like, I just thought it was comically like amazing and just wonderful. And if there was a character that I could play in this book, for sure, hands down, would be Valerie. She was the drama. Like, she was the drama. I just loved that about her. Do I think that she's a good... Sorry?
Am I
the drama?
Valerie, you are the drama in this book. That's why I love that she was there. If she wasn't there, I think I don't know. I don't know if I'd feel like as good about this book like towards the end. Yeah, she was the drama.
Yeah. I really like that we got her point of view as well in there. I mean, it was just such a stark difference between the other two, but I love that we kind of heard her thoughts and her justifications and all the things behind it. And while you're hearing it, you're just like, no, no.
So that was my other post-it. That was my other post-it, was to commend Silvia Moreno Garcia for actually giving distinct perspectives and characters, because like one of my biggest complaints, and like it just bothers me so much, when an author will write like really offensive, horrid, mean thoughts that characters are having, and they use the excuse that like, oh, it's just trying to show you that the character is a bad person. But they do it in all the characters, including the ones that are supposed to be good. I have read that so many times, and I'm like, well, I just think you're not a great person. But in this one, like whenever it switches to Valerie, then it's like the perfumed cow and like stupid, you know, that's when all of like the bad names and the really mean, callous, cruel things come out. So like Silvia Moreno Garcia like actually was like, no, I'm going to use this as a tool to show you that this is a bad person. I'm not just going to like, you know, do it for every single character. And I thought that was really effective, because then when you got to those chapters, you were like, oh, you're the worst.
Yeah, and you like really got inside of her, like inside of her head. She was like, you can't have happiness. I can't have happiness, so you cannot have happiness. And she was just so like direct about it. And I don't know, maybe we'll talk about it later, but her like got to know, or what is that his name?
Gaetan.
Gaetan.
Is that his name?
Her husband, anyway. When she, what's right?
No, I don't know how to pronounce things.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought it was like Gaten or something.
Yeah. When she is like, when he like talks to her and he's like, I'm not giving you anything in this. Like, you're crazy. Like, we're sending you away. I was like, oh my God. That is, again, super dramatic, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that I just always like to play devil's advocate and think about the different sides of everything and make everything super complicated. Because, like, yes, I know that Valerie is, like, bad and she's supposed to be bad. But, like, all I think is, you know, she had no, like, her parents were forcing her into this marriage. She would have, like, failed them. The family would have had all these financial issues and lost their respect and dignity if she hadn't have married Gaetan. And so she had to make this awful choice that ended up making her unhappy. And like society at the time played a big role with that, because women, you know, were kind of horseshoed into having to do these specific things. Like, I just feel like maybe Valerie would have had a happier life if she would have been born in a different time.
I don't know. She may have, but
it's just interesting to think about. Okay, well, that reminds me. Were there any other characters that stuck out to you that you want to talk about while we were reading this book? Maybe a favorite or least favorite?
Oh, I can't again. I'm terrible with names. The one that she was gonna marry.
Yeah, her fiance,
Luke,
right? Yeah, he was interesting to me because, like, I don't know how I felt about him. I wish we had more time with him, to be honest, like with his time spent with Nina, because I didn't know if I believed him or not when he said that he was in love with her. I couldn't ever tell. Like, sometimes I was like, okay, yeah, I can see why he's in love with her and stuff. But then other times I'm like, are you though? And like, again, I feel like he was very much a product of his station in life, being like the youngest brother and like trying to make his own way and loving partying and women and doing different things. But like, he did have some, I don't know. He kind of had some honor to him, but I feel like he just gets very emotionally and like wrapped up in like, again, like all the different expectations. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to see more from him because I couldn't figure out how I felt about him.
Yeah.
I feel like Luke was just kind of like, she will do. Let's get married. I want this business opportunity. Let's go forth. Like, that's how I felt
But then
about
there
him.
was like the aspect of like, oh, she's the one girl who isn't throwing herself at me, so I'm interested in her.
Yeah, but like, just to counter it, like, I don't think that he appreciated like Nina for who she was. Like Nina had this like telekinetic power and he's like you're a circus character. You can't be showing that in front of others. So I don't really feel like he actually loved her because I feel like if he did, he would accept her for who she was rather than just kind of try and mold her to be this person that she wasn't going to be. Like she didn't want to have this like grand effect like PDA like in front of everyone else. He really wanted that. He just thought that he could like gloss over like anything as long as he gave her a kiss. And it was just like you don't like actually like know who she is. Like that's how I felt about it. And I just felt like it was just like an opportunity for him.
That's why I
I
also
don't think
think
he
he's
loved
a
her.
product of the society too. Like how you're talking about Kristin too. Like because in society, like the beautiful ones, you don't use telekinesis. Like that's seen that way. So I feel like he was like, just kind of like a product of perpetuating a lot of these like bad thoughts and behaviors.
But then just to counter that, like Hector was different.
Yeah, but
Like
he also had telekinesis and he was
Yeah.
a performer.
And he
well, he
wasn't
was
really
for
a beautiful one. He was just
Yeah, he wasn't a beautiful one.
yeah.
but I think that I think that he changed though, because I feel like initially, like he was into Valerie, who was sort of like I think that he is a product of society. Like I'll get that like underway. But I think that he did have something in him that like allowed him to change over time. Whereas I don't feel like Luke had this, I don't know. He was just kind of like single-mindedly like looking at it as like a business venture. And I don't think that he loved her.
Well, speaking of Antonina and Hector's romance, Sara mentioned earlier how kind of the big shift in the story, and I believe, if I'm right, that is actually divided into different parts.
Part 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this part 2 begins when there's this shift in Hector's feelings, right? So he goes from longing after Valerie in the beginning of the book to longing after Antonina in part 2. And so I was wondering if you guys found it convincing or if it was kind of shocking to you at first how quickly his feelings seemed to change from Valerie to Antonina. Like, did you think that it was written well? What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was convincing because I feel like he had been in love with the idea of Valerie so long more than actually Valerie. So I think the fact that he was able to move on from her and fall in love with Nina instead made sense because like it wasn't like he was with Valerie the whole time and then switched to Antonina. Like he'd just been in love with this idea of Valerie for so long that when he started to see that like maybe I'm not, then he could say like, you know, this is a much better, healthier relationship for me. I love this girl. She actually loves me for me. And so I don't know. I thought it made sense.
Yeah, I thought it made sense too.
Oh, so I guess I'm the different one. I did not. I felt like all of part 1 was like Hector just turning down Valerie over and over, and then they kiss right at the end, and then suddenly that kiss is like, oh wait, and then he changes. I don't know. Maybe I missed something, but when part 2 started and he kind of moved on, like I felt like there just could have been more to show, like casually and kind of over time how his feelings changed. But it's possible I missed that.
Interesting too. Like they didn't have anything in common, like Valerie and Hector. Like what was there to like about her other than that she was pretty? Like they didn't even hardly spend much time together, and yet he spent so much time with Nina. and like following her and talking with her and stuff. And I think like when you inevitably spend a lot of time with someone, at least if you don't hate them, like you start to think about that stuff. And that's why I think he was like thinking about the beetles and he was researching it and the bugs, because I don't know, I think that there's just more to Nina than there is to Valerie. So that's why I think it was just like intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, I think he found her like intriguing and endearing. And so even when he was still obsessed with Valerie, like he still liked Nina in the like, she's sweet, she's fun, she's different, right? Like she entertains me when I'm with her and we talk about things. And so it's fun. Like it wasn't a chore for him to hang out with her necessarily, even if he was using her to get to Valerie. And so I think he like started to love her as a friend and just found her like fun and cute and endearing. And then when he was like started to move into more, it just made sense that he'd gotten to know her so well already.
That makes sense. Okay, well, one thing we haven't talked about yet is the time period this book was written in. How do you feel like the time period influenced the story?
I don't even know which one it was. They didn't say, did they?
Yeah, I just knew that it was not modern.
Felt like Bridgerton times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they were talking about the season, balls and stuff. Well, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about how, like, the implications on the women of the time and the men, too, the effect that had.
I think the telekinesis was, I feel like what I think it seemed like she was trying to do with it suited this time period, because it kind of like could be like a symbol of other things that people didn't like in that time period, and like you're an outcast because you're different. And like I wish there was more about that, because I just find that so interesting. Like I like that kind of magical fantasy aspect. Again, it might not actually be magical realism, but what I thought it was fascinating and I wanted more. And I think that it suited that time period because of like the prejudices against like things that are ridiculous that make people be outcasts.
Yeah. And the courting. People don't court anymore.
Or you have to officially request to like court someone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and like the duel.
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh, you're actually like gonna duel each other?
Or like when he said you can't use your telekinesis, I was like, oh heck no, I would never agree to that. Like I'm using the telekinesis. Screw you, I'm not gonna die.
Tell me I can't use the one thing. Like seriously.
Nope. Too bad. You don't
I read that and I was just like
it felt very Hamilton, you know? It was like, is he gonna aim his pistol at the sky?
Yeah.
No.
I'm still laughing because there was a duel.
No.
I don't know.
I'm telling you, it's Bridgerton.
You know what I remember saying when this happened?
Like, oh my gosh, this is so dramatic. Like, seriously? What? Like a duel with like kinetic, like bullet, like powers? And I was like, what the heck?
You know what I remember saying to my husband when that was happening with Luke and him and all the guys were like, I was like, next time women get called emotional. Like I was like, I'd be like, I would just go up to like Luke then be like, do you need a nap? Do you need a rest? Do you want me to get you a hot water bottle? You seem really emotional right now. Like you might need some time. I was just like, don't you dare call women the emotional like in this book. No. Like no, they were just like
so dramatic.
Drama. I loved it.
And then Valerie's just fanning the flames like you should kill him.
Oh my gosh, it was so hilarious.
Funny. Okay, well, we've been talking about telekinesis a lot, so let's bring it up officially. What did you think about the use of telekinesis in this story? Did it add to it, or did you think it was unnecessary?
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was like the thing that they like vibed with together. So
yeah,
I liked
like their bonding point.
Yeah, at first I was like, I don't know about this, but then as we got farther, I was like, okay, I see why it's there, and I think that it's like necessary. like in this sort of case, like just well, maybe not like necessary, but just something linking them where they feel like outcasted and they have something that bonds them together, I think was really good. Because at first I was like, oh my gosh, why are they being so cruel to her about like having this telekinetic power? Like, jealous much? Like, just because I was like trying to figure that out. I just thought that was like ridiculous. So I think it could be like a symbolism for any sort of like oddity or whatever, or what
People
others
being
would perceive
different.
as an oddity, you know.
Yeah, people being.
And I perceive as like totally cool, so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I was wondering, like, is there more? Maybe I missed it, but like, are there other powers, or is it just telekinesis, or like, I don't know. I was just
like
so curious. I was
telekinesis.
like, I want more. I could hear a whole book just about this part.
I'm pretty sure I only remember telekinesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I remember, but yeah.
Which at first I got telekinesis, like after I read like the synopsis, I got telekinesis like totally mixed up with like telepathy. So I was like, well, she's moving things. And then I was like, oh my gosh, kinetic energy, movement. So I was so confused at first. That was my bad.
Yeah, there's sometimes like at night whenever my phone is like just out of reach, when I really wish I had telekinesis, I could just zoom it right into my hand.
That would be nice.
I really
It's the
wanted
little
someone
things.
to like either Nina to like lift a fan up and like whack Valerie in the face with it, or like Hector to like have a glove go in the air and smack Luke in the face or something. Like, I was like, that would be really funny.
Yeah.
Deservedly. Mm-hmm.
They both needed to be like brought to their senses. Like, come on, grow up.
Okay.
I'm still not over that duel. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
I'm still not over it. I'm just like, can't believe that happened. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's so funny how they had like a whole system for duels too, right? Like you had to have a doctor and a second, and like,
what is the second? Like, is the second gonna go in there and die if you like? Why do you have the second?
They're the person who communicates with the others for
They're
you.
just the go-between.
They're just like the go-betweens, yeah.
Because my learning of duels started with Harry Potter when he's like, the second's there to take over if you die. And so I was like, why would you ever be someone's second? Like, I'm not gonna die for them being stupid.
Have you guys watched?
I thought it was just a go-between.
It's totally possible. I'm saying what I learned about duels. Like, I learned this as a first grader, and so that's stuck in my head.
I think that's the case, like in some duels.
Why would you ever do that?
I don't know, because they think
honor.
Yeah, honor
for honor.
Man, be the man.
It's like honor. Okay,
so it says a second was a friend. A second was a friend who came along to help prepare your weapons, make sure the other duelist wasn't going to ambush you, and make sure the rules of the duel were being followed. They were also supposed to try to defuse the situation that led to the duel by getting an apology from one party or another.
See, that's more realistic. I would do that.
Anything about like doing it. It just says
Harry
like
Potter lied to me as a child, and now I've thought that's what it is for like my entire life.
Well, I thought that too.
You know what? Like, have you guys watched Grease before? Like the movie Grease?
What?
Have you seen Grease, the movie? That
Grease?
just kind of reminded me of like, you know, like the part at the end of the movie, like where you have like John Travolta and you have like, I don't know, the other like main guy, and they're like kind of like trying to impress them by like doing like a race.
Yeah.
You remember that? That just
yeah.
totally reminded me of it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is drama."
I love
your lives.
How you're like John Travolta and the other guy.
Yes, it's like I don't even remember what his name was in it, or like what John Travolta was. Danny. Yeah, that's how I learned about duels, and that's not even like a real duel. It's like.
Sorry, I just disappeared. My MacBook charger fell out, and I had like 1% battery, so I'm so glad we're all still here. Yeah. Woo. Okay, Are there any like specific events that were really memorable to you in the story, besides the duel, obviously, that like you look back on fondly and remember going forward?
I look back fondly on when Valerie was told by Gatan, or sorry, I forget his name, by her husband that your tricks stop here. You are being sent away.
I
Get out of
love
here.
that.
I loved it. I was like, yes.
I was like, she's a product of her society. Bless her heart.
And I was like, be banished. Get out of here. Get
I
out of
think
here.
Kristin, though,
Someone
like
else,
that.
find out.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
that's a teacher mentality. I
Yeah.
totally feel you, because like any kid that's difficult too, you're like, there's a reason why they are. Like you don't usually ever, I can't imagine ever putting the full blame on someone's shoulders. You're like, there's a reason why this is the problem, and how can we help? You know. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
children
the thing that like made me change like about her was like where I'm like, you need to go away, is when she's like, I want blood, I want to see blood, and I was just like, okay, time out for reals now. Like, get out of here.
Did you guys have a prediction of how the duel would end?
I literally thought that Hector was gonna die. I was like, I don't think that he's got it. Like, I just think he's gonna die. And I thought either that would happen, or I thought that Valerie was going to like go out there and, or sorry, Nina was gonna go out there and be like, Hector, and she was gonna get shot, and then just like the drama, and then Hector would just be like, or like a Moulin Rouge ending or something like that. I didn't predict what would happen. I was happy with what happened, but like I just thought it was gonna be like crazy.
Oh, we lost Angela.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
She's been frozen for a hot minute, so.
Okay. Well, hopefully she comes back. Yeah, I did not really know how it would end. There was a time whenever I thought that Antonina would give up her life, but quickly that did not happen. I actually had to rewind in the audiobook because I wasn't sure what had happened at first.
Mm.
Oh, Angela says, what did she say? Her Wi-Fi went off, so she's trying to get it back.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is usually the part, if we have nothing else that we want to add about the book, that we move on to talking about if it's a top shelf pick. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss?
Oh, before that, I just want to know, like, did anyone like how? Sorry, how did you guys think that like the duel was gonna end?
I thought Hector was going to get shot because he was stupid and wouldn't use his telekinesis.
Yeah. And like Luke had like they were just hyping him up like he'll kill you.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if he'd like
Yeah.
die, but I figured he'd get shot at least.
Kristin?
Oh,
What did you think would happen?
I thought that Antonina was going to sacrifice herself, and then Hector would be like, "Oh my gosh, it's so awful," and there would just be like more drama and sadness. But I actually think that this was such a wonderful ending to the book. Like it was just swell.
Yeah, it felt like a satisfying ending.
And Becca said that she thought Antonina would step in and use her powers. Felt the telekinesis would play a part in the duel. Yeah, so you got it, Becca. That's basically what did happen, yeah.
I was so confused at what happened. I had to reread the chapter because at first I didn't understand like how did this happen? It took me a second. I think I was just like so I was just like shocked that the duel was like even happening. It's like, what's happening here?
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, while we're waiting for Angela, there's another question I'm curious about. It has to do with the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so do you think there's anything meaningful about the Beatles? Why are they used so much in the story? Is there a reason? Do you think they say anything about how Nina and Hector see the world?
Yeah, I think that Angela, like, was it Angela who said something along the lines of initially, like, Hector sees her in one light, and the Beatles are initially, like, seen in, like, one light, but then they change colors, and that's how he started to see, like, Antonina differently at the end.
Okay.
I thought that was, like, pretty on point, I think.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more along the lines of like beetles just traditionally are not things that I think of when I think of like beautiful. Like they're insects, and like most people don't like see the beauty in them at all. Like, and so I feel like it showed something about kind of their ability to appreciate like things that are different and like rare, to appreciate things that maybe other people don't appreciate.
Yeah, I think that's a really good interpretation of it too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is called the beautiful one, so
Yes, but we don't
Beauty is-
like the beautiful ones. Well, I
Yeah.
didn't. None of the
Well,
beautiful
I-
ones I liked.
I liked
Yeah.
her cousin okay.
Gaitan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
you're
thought he
right.
was cool.
He
Like,
was
I
pretty
think,
good.
yeah, I think I also applaud him for the decision he made at the end. So
That's true.
I'm like, yeah, I really do, like, but he was always like very nice to his cousin. So
Mhm.
He was honestly very nice to his wife as well. She just
yeah,
is not a good person.
yeah, he dealt with like he dealt with that relationship, I think, as best as he could for as long as he could.
Although I don't know if they had like a great relationship. I mean, like,
I don't know, how could you with her?
That's what I thought too. Like, how could you with her? Like, seriously, I don't know.
but like he thought that all he had to do was like buy her nice jewelry and expensive stuff, and she felt neglected. Like,
Did she?
Yeah, Valerie felt neglected. She was jealous of Gaitan's cousins, and
Yeah,
and
she was
everything.
jealous because he got them things and she felt like he should be spending all his money on her family. It was about his money.
Well, I feel like he didn't give her the same amount of affection as he gave his family. And I think that
she wasn't affectionate.
Yeah,
I
like I feel like she was like pieced out of that relationship, except like on an emotional level. Like she was just like,
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't like Valerie all that much. Like, I don't very much like her.
she could be redeemed.
You're very.
I would say she can't, but
I don't think she's redeemable. I really don't. I just think
she
like,
wanted the dude's blood.
Yeah.
She would have killed him herself if she could have done it and gotten away with it, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well.
I think she was a big safety risk,
Yeah.
So I think yeah. I think she was quite a safety risk.
Okay, well, let's move on to our final question. Is this a top shelf read? Who wants to go first?
Becca, yes. She was crazy.
Yeah, the jealousy was quite a.
It was entertaining.
So good. So good.
The drama.
Exactly. That's what I just loved about it.
Is Angela gonna come back?
I don't know. I'm tempted to
I feel
wait
bad.
for her.
I know, and I don't want to.
Well, we can wait a little bit longer and maybe talk about some other things. I have another like discussion guide, or if there's something you guys want to discuss.
Okay.
I mean, we could go on and then just like wait. She can give her opinion when she gets back, if she gets back. Hope so.
I hope so too.
Oh, she said
Okay.
go ahead without her. Okay. Well, Becca wants to know, what did we think of Etienne? That was his best friend, Hector's best friend, right?
I actually really liked him.
I forgot about him. Yeah, I love
Yes,
him.
I thought he was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
He was
I thought
funny.
he was.
Yeah.
And he was chill. Like, he knew all that was going on with everyone, and he's just like, okay, guys, come on. So I don't know. I thought he was really cool to like know all the secrets and know everything going on and still be like really chill, not like telling everyone's gossip and just trying to help people out.
He was Hector's second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's actually interesting because wasn't Luke was his brother or his cousin or something?
Luke was his brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were different.
Yeah.
And I think that this book, a lot of it's like the product of your upbringing or society, whatever, like the influence of that. And it's interesting how within like one family, you can have two such different people.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. They were so different.
He had no drama.
I think, yeah, it shows like the importance of like what you choose to do instead of just like allowing yourself to be a product of your society or of what happened to you. Instead of like being that, he's like, you know what? I'm happy and I'm going to do what makes me happy, and I'm not going to try to hurt others around me. And I was like, you know what? You're pretty cool. And in all reality, I don't think Luke was that bad of a guy. He wasn't trying to hurt Nina. He was like using her to get what he wanted, but he even told Valerie, he's like, I'm going to be a good husband to her. Like, I'll take care of her. I'll make sure that she has kids and is well provided for and stuff. So like he wasn't a bad guy.
I don't think he was a bad guy either, you know? Yeah.
Luke?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like him.
Oh.
You liked Valerie more than Luke?
I didn't like Valerie, but I'm just saying that Valerie...
I don't know what to think of it.
I'm just saying that I understand Valerie had other, like, pressures on her. And I appreciate those pressures she had.
I don't know. I feel like I just want to talk about Valerie for a second.
Hi, Angela.
Angela, Kristin thinks that Luke is worse than Valerie. That's what you missed.
That tea is steeping.
Listen, Luke had less pressure on him to behave the way he did. He had some pressure, okay? But Valerie was pigeonholed into a bad situation.
What do you say to the fact that she admits that she didn't ever actually love Hector at all?
I mean, I guess that is sad. I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was this whole thing where she was like, no, I didn't actually love him. I just loved that he loved me and was obsessed with me. And she even told him that, and he realized it too. He was like, oh my God, she never even loved me to begin with. And that's why he was like, okay, I'm done. Luke, at least, actually, I don't know. I'm not saying Luke is great either, but man, oh man.
I'm just saying there are some complicated characters in the story. And I like that. I like complicated characters because they're real.
Yeah.
Well, now that the gang's all here and we've had our dramatic moment, do we want to say if this is a top shelf read or not?
We didn't do predictions, eh?
Oh, we didn't. Do we want to do
predictions? I said A. We do say A
Canadian
sometimes here in
showing.
Canada, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, he just seemed naive and immature and just like, I don't know. I feel like I liked him so much more because he wasn't going to misuse like Antonina. He probably would have treated her well. You know, like he tried to do nice things for her and stuff. Like he just didn't love her and she didn't love him. It was just
yeah.
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 But anyway, sorry. Top shelf predictions.
I want to see who predicts who will give this top shelf read.
I never have any idea. I'm just gonna say it right now.
I don't think Kristin will, because they sent Valerie away and she's like, no, redeem her.
I need a Valerie spinoff, okay?
Yes, you do.
You know, Valerie reminded me just a little bit of Noemi. A little bit at first. When we first kind of like met her, I had those vibes, and I thought that maybe this is who she'll end up being. But the more I saw her, I was like, you are not Noemi. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, they slowly like made her worse. Like at first she didn't seem as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. I don't know who will say that this is a top shelf read.
I don't think any of us are going to say it's top shelf. And maybe Angela.
Why that? Why?
What does Becca think?
Yeah, Becca, you tell us.
Yeah, I wanna see what Becca says.
I think it's gonna be one of those cases where like we all like it and we'd all probably give it like 4 or 3 stars, but I don't think it's a top shelf. Except
does anyone know if Laura even read it?
I don't think she did. I think she said she didn't have time to read the book.
Oh. Yeah, she said she didn't have time to read it.
I was gonna say, I think she would definitely be a no. I don't think she likes the society things like this, where looks are a big deal. It seems to be something that bugs her. She's just like, meh.
Ooh, okay. I think that's why you might have just given me an epiphany why I like it, because I don't tend to read a lot of like things set in older times other than maybe like Jane Austen, and I always tend to like them, and I think it is because of like the fact that often in these books you tend to do something that isn't seemed as appropriate by the society, kind of like meddling in each other's lives or like doing something you're like, you're not really supposed to do that. I like when people don't follow the rules, so like maybe that's interesting to me, because I'm like, yeah, like I was rooting for Nina to just be herself. So
yeah, I like it. Okay, and so she thinks no one.
Yeah, not a top shelf for anyone. We haven't had one of those in a while, have we? Or was our last one?
Last one was.
Okay, well, never mind then. All right, who's going to start us off?
You.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's go around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this was not a top shelf read for me, but I really liked it. I love debutante style books. I remember Stephanie was saying before we read it that it was kind of like Bridgerton with magic. I think that's how you described it. Yeah. And I feel like it if it would have had more Bridgerton, I would have liked it even more. But I liked the drama of it, and I liked the characters. But at the end of the day, it just was not. It didn't have that thing, that je ne sais quoi. So, Sarah?
Yeah, so for me, it wasn't a top shelf read, but it was like, it was great. I loved it. I will say that I think that the biggest thing for me about why it's not a top shelf read for me is because the first half of this book, I didn't like it nearly as much as the second half. I feel like the first half I was so bored at certain points, and I was like, I literally put a note that was like, nothing is happening, and because I just was like, I'm not sure what the plot here is right now. Like it just didn't pick things up for me. The second part of the book was just like drama and duels and just like all these things. And I feel like this book for me is what I wish Jane Austen was like.
No.
I wish it was a little bit more like this. I understand the appeal of Jane Austen books, but I prefer this type of dramatic book, So yeah, it's like a 4.25, maybe like a 4.5, but I wouldn't say it's top shelf just because of the first half of the book. But I love these characters. I love to hate the characters. Valerie. Yeah. I don't know. Valerie kind of made this book for me, like, because I just love not liking her. Like, and yeah, like, if maybe like a younger Valerie, if intervened, maybe it would turn out a different way. But I like where they went with her with this one. It made it drama, so I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, so I agree. I don't think it's a top shelf for me, but I did love it. Like Sara, like I was there for the drama. I had so much fun with it. Like it was just such a fun read. I read it I read it for like a readathon that I was doing. So I read it very quickly in like 4 hours maybe. So like busted through it. So I didn't have time to really notice any things off in the pacing in all reality. I feel like my biggest complaint is I absolutely hate the trope, the cheating trope. And so I don't like when someone is engaged to someone else and then goes and sleeps with the guy they're actually in love with. I hate that. I'm like, you're still cheating. Like that's still not okay to do that, even though I want you to end up with him and I'm rooting for this relationship, not this one. Like you should break off your engagement first and then go to the person that you actually want to be with. So that I hate that in books. And if that's in a book, it's never going to get 5 stars for me because I just hate it so much. So that's,
Yeah. I agree with that. Definitely. Yeah. I was curious too, why she didn't just break it off, but I guess they would like try to keep her there or something, probably knowing how like outlandish they were acting.
I feel like her cousin wouldn't have if she would have gone straight to her cousin and been like, I don't want this at all. Like, I don't want to marry him. I'm not in love with him. I will not be happy. Please don't force me. I don't think he would have.
You're right.
Yeah.
Why didn't she do that?
See? That's my biggest complaint. Like, I hate that.
Yeah. Because she did have a friend on her side, and normally people don't, but she did. Like, her cousin was there. Yeah, for me, if we, so this is interesting because now this throws into question how I'm going to do the rest of the live shows now, because normally I try to save it till the very end, so because I have a bad memory, but this one I read earlier in the month, but now it changed my opinion, because I read it in a day too, because it was just so captivating and interesting, and I love the characters. I want to know what was going to happen, so I loved this book. It was so much fun. But if we would have had the live show the next day, I probably would have said it was a top shelf read, and 5 stars absolutely, because it reminded me of like Emma, Jane Austen, and I gave those 5 stars. I love them. But now it's been a couple of weeks and I really haven't thought about it hardly at all since. And that's not normal for me. Normally I think about books a long time after I read them if they like really were a top shelf. And I think it might be because I don't feel like, for me personally, I connected enough to Nina and Hector. Like I wanted more from their characters. Like I wanted, like, why is she so interested in?
Oh no, her Wi-Fi.
Like maybe, oh no. Did it cut out again?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Where did it cut?
You left off at and why she was so into
bugs and beetles and I wanted more of Hector's backstory. I wanted to know more about them, and so I didn't really feel too attached to Nina. I didn't feel like I knew her very well other than surface level. So I think maybe that's why, because I didn't connect to anybody so much. So like I guess it would be like the shelf below top shelf, because it was so much fun and I loved it. And I don't really have many complaints, like other than the, like you said, the cheating trope. So now I'm not sure. Should I read books earlier in the month? I don't know.
I think so. Like if you want like a more like authentic response, because like the test of time I think is really powerful.
I don't know. I think you got to think too, like, would you reread this book and enjoy it just as much?
That's true, because you know what's going to happen, so maybe not.
Because like I feel like
I do that too. I'm like, would I reread this?
Like I feel like I would totally reread this book and like have a great time and love it. It was fun. Like this is just a fun time.
I would not reread it. I would not. I liked it, but I would not. I would reread like Anne of Green Gables. Just I would. Just
I could never read that book again. It took me so much effort to get through it the first time.
What, Stephanie?
That was the most boring book of my life.
No. What?
Today it's super hot.
I feel like I just broke Kristen's poor heart.
The teapot is large today.
I'm so shocked. I mean, I knew some people didn't like it, but like that, oh my gosh.
I am some people.
Yeah. Wow.
Some people here.
You don't like it either, Sarah?
No, Anne of Green Gables? Oh yeah, I love Anne of Green Gables. I'm Canadian. I like it's my parents live in PEI, so like yeah.
That's so cool. I do want to go there. I think it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, there's like red sand and like the sea, and you know it's an island. It's totally beautiful. Like I've seen a lot of covers that try and show how beautiful like PEI is by showing like the Anne of Green Gables cover, and I'm like, this is not as like beautiful as it actually is. It's so much better if you go in person. So I say just like get on a plane after this nonsense that's going on in the world. Oh my gosh, this anyway. And then at such a point go to Prince Edward Island, and you know they have like tours like Anne of Green Gables like tours, and like you can buy like the dolls, you can buy like hats with the braids and everything.
I just want to go like sit on the hill overlooking the ocean and read.
Yeah,
that sounds beautiful.
That's what I do when I'm down there. I just go to like the ocean, like go by like the ocean. I'm just like, wonderful here. It's really nice. Yeah.
Does it feel touristy at all?
Charlottetown, yeah, for sure. Charlottetown does, but like around where my parents are, it doesn't feel touristy because it's kind of a smaller sort of area. But yeah, Charlottetown has its touristy places, but those houses, those like older like I don't know, Victorian-esque houses, they're like super beautiful, and you just go around those areas in the gardens or whatever, and it's just wonderful. Yeah, and people in PI are awesome. So
nice.
Yeah.
I have a thought actually about the books. I would say that like this might be, even though it wasn't a top shelf for any of us, I would say this might be one of the handful of most successful books that we all liked across the board. Because what's a book for? It's for entertainment, right? Yeah, and we were all super entertained by it. So even though it's not like it didn't like move mountains in our soul, like it's still like we all had a great time reading it. So I feel like that was one of the like a really successful book. So
like 2 of us read it in a day. Like that's pretty impressive. I don't think there's ever been a book that was unanimously top shelf though, right?
I think like Black Girl Unlimited was.
That wasn't for me.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I wasn't in the last show though. Gosh, I keep forgetting this.
You didn't like it though?
I have come to learn magical realism isn't my thing when it's not like real magic. Like in here, it's legitimately real magic. But I don't like it when it's like kind of magic, but like it's not. Yeah. I don't think that's not my thing. So I've read a couple more magical realism since then. I'm like, that's why I didn't like it. Magical realism's not my thing. So
I know there's another book that top shelves across the board, but
yeah, I feel like one that a lot of us really liked was the Song of Achilles, though.
Yeah,
like I don't know if it was top shelf for all of us, but I think it wasn't top shelf for me at the time. Looking back, I think it actually is. But like a lot of us really, really liked that book. I think
that one was also.
Yeah. We've never had unanimous top shelves, but we have had a couple that most of us liked. And this, I guess, was one of them. Huh?
Good job, Angela.
Firekeeper's Daughter, a bunch of us liked as well.
I thought this was yours, Stephanie.
No, I think it was mine because I bought it because it was on Barnes & Noble.
You picked this out.
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
I think it was Angela. I'm not okay. It's like a book I would pick. That's true.
It was a part of the Barnes & Noble buy one, get one 50% off. And I saw it and I saw Silvia Moreno Garcia and I read what it was about. And so I bought it and I thought it sounded like it could be pretty good for all of us because it had stuff that all of us kind of liked in it.
Yeah.
I forgot that was mine, but yeah, it was. And so I'm glad we got to read it because that was really fun.
It was a good pick.
Same author. We've read the same author twice.
Yeah. First author we've read twice.
It's true.
Maybe we should do another Jane Austen.
We could.
Sarah's over there like,
then I will be the drama.
I've only read Pride and Prejudice and Emma, so
yeah,
they're open. Or we could do like Northanger Abbey or Sense and
that one's
Sensibility.
shorter and it's different, Northanger Abbey. But I mainly just said that to see Sarah's reaction.
I'm like taking it seriously. I'm like, okay, let's plan this.
I'm up for it. Like, but if we do it, like, let's just do like a short book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So we're going to be reading The Death of Jane Lawrence, and I've already read that. And you know what I realized? Okay, Mexican Gothic and The Death of Jane Lawrence kind of have similar things that, like, a similar vibe.
I like that.
So if someone likes one or the other, I would recommend, like, of course they're super different. Mexican Gothic has so much more to it, like depth-wise with like history and different subjects. But like, you know, it's very like graphic. It's very like a house that you're like there at and stuff like that. Like it kind of reminded me of like similar vibes. So like just letting everybody know, if you liked Mexican Gothic, you might like The Death of Jane Lawrence. Maybe. Maybe.
And that's our April book, I think. The Death of Jane Lawrence.
That's a great.
It looks creepy, and I like creepy, so
I know. I'm really hoping it's good.
And there's a lot of
like
medical stuff, Sarah. It's like because he's a doctor, so medical. Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I feel like it could go either way.
I totally could, especially because you might not like the medical stuff.
Well,
because like
I
you
have
do that for your job, so you might be
book
tired.
club edition. So
Ooh.
there's book club stuff in here.
Good. And Becca wants some Austen too, so I was totally just kidding when I brought that up. But maybe when we do our next round, we could throw in some Austen.
Hey, sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Becca. We love you. Thank you for joining us as well. We have our next book for March picked out already. That is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers.
Nice.
Did one of you guys nominate this book?
I did.
Okay. Is it
I don't think
science
we've
fiction?
done a sci-fi. So I was like, what's a sci-fi that
sci-fi though?
It is a soft sci-fi, yeah, which is why I picked this one instead of a hard sci-fi. I had other options. I didn't think they would win the vote.
Oh, wait, we have done sci-fi because we did Claire and the Sun, which was also soft sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Is it
even softer sci-fi?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is super character driven.
Yeah.
Clara and the Sun is technically sci-fi, but like literally no sci-fi elements are like dove into, except for the fact that she's an AI. Like that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's like it's way softer. So this one is a little more sci-fi even, but still quite soft sci-fi. Yeah.
Okay. And our live show is going to be Sunday, March 27th at 12:30 EST. So looking at the calendar, it's basically last Sunday of March at 12:30, like we've been doing for the past few months. And I think that time has worked really well for everyone so far. So that looks like it's the plan for April and May, which, by the way, if you want to get ahead on getting our books for those discussions, like we were saying, April is The Death of Jane Lawrence, and May is our anniversary, and we're reading the thriller The Last Thing He Told Me. And you can find all of this on our Instagram page. Sarah does a really good job of keeping us up to date there. Okay, well, I guess that ends this live show, unless anyone else has anything else they want to add. Nope. All right, well, we will see you all in the next one. Bye.